morning students, welcome to the YouTube channel of Eng.Med Modern School. Myself Rachana Shukla. Today I am going to start subject SS of standard 9 and I am going to start new chapter, that is lesson number 2, First World War and the Russian Revolution. Yes, in this chapter we will talk about the First World War, heartbreaking event in our history which took place due to the European countries, and that we will study in this chapter. First, let's see what happened earlier. See, all of you have studied in your 8th standard and even in 9th standard that the European countries, especially the England, came to India and expanded their rule in India. Meanwhile, England was very busy in expanded the rule in India. The other European countries was yearning, the Western European countries was yearning to expand their rule for trading and for controlling other countries of Asia and Africa. So now India was already in the hands of whom? In the hands of English people, in the hands of Europeans. But along with India, they were also yearning to capture most of the countries of Asia and Africa. Their eyes were on Asia and Africa. So, due to their greed, due to the greed of the power of expanding the rule, they did not spare anyone. They totally ruined the cultural, social and economic balance of the Asian African countries. Now, let's see what happened. See, the European countries, all the countries were in the race of capturing, of controlling the Asian African countries, and in this race they did not spare anyone. That means they even did not spare their neighboring countries. Now what happened in this race? All the European countries wanted to capture the Asian African countries. So there a competition arose in between the European countries. Now what happened? Let's see. First, starting with the Spain. The Spain took the control over Netherlands. Now we are talking about the European countries itself, and Spain was powerful at that time. So Spain took over the control of Netherlands. Netherlands is a small country in Europe itself. See, in 8th standard I have given you the map of Europe, and if you want to see these countries, Spain, Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, you can find out from the map I have given you in your 8th standard of Europe. The enlarged map of Europe, you will find all these countries. So Spain took over the control of Netherlands, Belgium and Luxembourg. These three countries are actually very small countries, and Spain took control over that. Then France also captured some of the provinces of all these three countries. Spain and France were the two countries control over Netherlands, Belgium and Luxembourg. Now after some years, the Portuguese king died without any heir. Means the Portuguese king did not have any son or daughter. There was no one to sit on the throne to carry his kingdom. So what happened? He died. After his death, the Portugal came under the control of Spanish king, under the rule of Spanish king. So Spanish king means the king of Spain. He told that we had blood relations with the Portuguese king, and due to that thing, the blood relation between the Portugal king and the Spanish king took control over the Portugal. So Portugal came under Spain. Again, then the monopoly of capturing the countries, the monopoly of controlling the European small countries was with Spain for more than 6 decades. We are talking about decades. 1 decade means 10 years. So almost for 50 to 60 years, Spain was powerful in Europe. Spain was more powerful. Spain was going on capturing the small countries, her neighboring countries in Europe. She has already captured Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, then it captured Portugal also, and then Italy and Germany became victims of France and Austria. Yes, Italy is also a small country of Europe. Germany is also a country of Europe, and France and Austria are also in Europe. So a competition took place, the wars took place, the monopoly of capturing another country, its own country, took place in Europe, and all these things happened in Europe when England was already ruling in our country. England was expanding their rule in our country. At that time, all these things were going on in the continent Europe. So Italy and Germany, two countries, became the victims of France and Austria. That means France captured Italy and Austria captured Germany. And students, if you want to write down all these points, you can note down in your rough book for your reference. It will be easy for you for your further studies or future studies. So note down these points in your rough book. Now let's talk about colonialism in Asia. All of you know that these European countries, for a greed of controlling power, for a greed of expanding their rule, they came to Asia. They wanted to establish their rule and took control over the Asian countries. So what happened first? First, their target was India. All of you know, since the year 1757 when Battle of Plassey took place. So after India, England was already ruling over India. After India, England went to Sri Lanka. Yes, our neighboring country, the maritime boundary, Sri Lanka. It took control over Sri Lanka. Then it further moved towards the Indian Ocean, and in that it took control over Myanmar, Singapore and Malaysia. So England was ruling not only over India, but it took control of the countries like Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Singapore and Malaysia. These all countries were in the hands of England. Then what happened? England entered to China also. Yes, our neighboring countries in the northeast part, China. India went to China also. At that time, China was very weak. So what did England do there? England find out that we can get a lot of raw materials and a huge market for selling ready-made products here in China. So due to opium trade, yes, there was a trade relations between England and China, and that was known as the opium trade. Due to opium trade between England and China, 3 wars took place between England and China. 3 wars. How many wars? 3 wars. And China lost all the 3 wars. England was powerful. China was weak at that time. So China lost all the 3 wars and England won the battles. And due to that, in that compensation, China has to give 5 of its ports to England for trading purpose. What China gave? China gave 5 of its ports to England for trading purpose. So England established their political and economic rights, their trading rights over 5 of the ports of China. Then what happened? Japan, Russia, Germany, France, Belgium, America, they came, they saw that England is ruling over China. They came to China. They saw that China is very weak, and they also acquired trade and political rights over different parts of China. So China was totally under the control of different countries, and those countries were Japan, the neighboring country of China, then Russia, again the neighboring countries from the north of China, then Germany, the European country, France, Belgium, both three countries are European countries, America, talking about North America and South America. So America also came, and all these countries captured the small parts of China. They acquired their trade and political rights over China. Now what happened? These European countries were in search of different raw materials, were in the greed of the power. So they did not spare the Saudi Arabian countries. Yes, America, then Russia, then Belgium, France, Spain, these countries did not even spare the Saudi Arabian countries. And all of you know Saudi Arabian countries are very rich in mineral oils. In the oil, there are big oil refineries, there are wells of oil in Saudi Arabia. So these countries wanted the fuel oil as their raw material, and so they took control. They started capturing the Saudi Arabian countries like Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia and Bahrain. So all these countries were captured by the European countries, America and Russia, for the need of mineral oil that it is found in plenty amount from Saudi Arabia. They used to take that mineral oil to their own respective countries and started trading with these all countries. So ultimately, not only the India but many countries of India like Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Singapore, then Malaysia, then coming to the another part of Asia, that is China, Nepal also, these all countries were captured by the European countries, and then they went towards the Saudi Arabia, and in that Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia and Bahrain, all these countries were finally captured by the different European countries. Now what happened? After establishing their colonies in Asian countries, they had finished their work? Not yet. They went to Africa. Their eyes were on Africa. So now we will talk about the whole continent of Africa, what they did. Yes, Africa is more near to Europe than Asia. So coming to Africa, during the 15th century, the first country that took control over some parts of South Africa, that is the Dutch. The Dutch people, you have already studied who were the Dutch, the Danish people who came from Europe to India, but they did not took long years in India. They went back, and then in the 15th century, they went to South Africa and captured some small parts of South Africa. So the first people were the Dutch people. Then England and France took control over the Cape Town and the Algeria. Two countries, that is the Cape and Algeria. England took control over Cape and France took control over Algeria. Now we are talking about Europe and Africa. How one countries came to Europe and how they started capturing the countries of Africa. Then what happened? Why they were going to Africa also? See, Africa is a very big continent. Africa has many countries like Asia also, and huge amount of raw materials, different types of raw materials were available from Africa. Africa had a gold mine. Africa have diamonds in their earth's crust. Africa have different minerals. They have cotton. They have everything, each and every raw material which Europe did not have. So they wanted to take raw materials from Africa, and they found that Africa has a very big market to sell their ready-made products. So products were made in the European countries and they were bringing the products to sell in the African countries. So for this reasons they went starting capturing African countries. Now what happened? Belgium, a small country of Europe. At that time the king of Belgium was King Leopold. Who was the king of Belgium? King Leopold. So he captured a country named as Congo. You might have heard, or you can open your atlas and find out where Congo is. So he captured a small country of Africa, that is Congo. Then English people of England came to Africa. They captured Egypt and some parts of East Africa and South Africa. Now which country came? England came. England captured Egypt and some parts of East Africa and South Africa. Then came France. Yes, there was competition among the European countries that England went to Africa, then France will also go. After that, Spain will also go. Then Belgium will also go. So like that way, there was competition, inner competition between the European countries to establish their rule in Asian African countries. Then France came. France captured Tunisia, beautiful country of Africa, Morocco and some parts of West Africa. Yes, African countries are very beautiful in terms of nature also, in terms of their physiography. So, France came and it captured Tunisia, Morocco and some parts of West Africa. Then came Germany. Germany also came to Africa. It captured some of the parts of East and West Africa. Now what happened? Italy came. Why Italy was behind? So Italy also came. Italy captured some of the parts surrounding the Red Sea. All of you know that Red Sea is the sea which is lying in Africa. So it captured some of the parts surrounding Red Sea. Then Spain and Portugal also came. They were also not behind. Spain and Portugal came to Africa. They also captured some of the countries, some of the parts of Africa. So all the European countries, that is the Dutch, the England, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, Portugal, all this came to Africa. They started doing wars with African countries and captured some small parts of the African countries. Now what happened? A conference was held of the European countries in Berlin. See, I have written the name in Berlin in the year 1884-85. So we are talking about 18th century. In the year 1884 and 85, a conference was held, and in this conference in Berlin, all the European countries got together and a meeting was held in this conference. Now what was the main topic? The main topic of this conference was about the distribution of the territories of the African countries. Who will get how much territories? Yes, which European nation will get how much territory of Africa was the main topic of the conference. Now at the end of the conference, final decision was made, and in that decision African territories were divided mutually among different European countries. This was the main topic for holding a conference in Berlin in the year 1845-1885. And finally decisions was taken regarding the division of the African territories among different European countries. So with this, the whole of Asia, many countries of Asia, the whole of Africa was divided among different countries of Europe. Now what happened? There was a competition among different European nations within themselves of expanding their rule. In this race, Germany was becoming very powerful. Germany had maintained her social, economical, political balance, and also it has increased its army to a great extent. Germany was the first who wanted to spread, who wanted to expand her rule over the whole world. So due to this, it was creating imbalance, it was creating harmness to many European countries, and this led to the First World War in our history. So Germany actually was the main cause behind the First World War, because its greed was increasing day by day. It had expanded herself very much. It had increased her economical, political and military forces to a lot extent, and so this led to First World War. Now this was very much for today's session. Talking about First World War, we will see in the next session. Meanwhile, it's time for your homework, so note down the questions and find out the answers from your textbook. So question 1, Your question 1 is, which countries were controlled by Spain? Which countries were controlled by Spain? Who took control over Portugal after the death of its king? Who took control over Portugal after the death of its king? Who captured Italy and Germany? Who captured Italy and Germany? In Asia, which countries were captured by England? In Asia, which countries were captured by England? Define Opium Wars. Define Opium Wars. Next question, who lost the Opium Wars? Next question, who lost the Opium Wars? Next question, what did China give to England? What did China give to England on losing the Opium Wars? On losing the Opium Wars. Next question, which countries acquired trade and political rights due to China's weakness? I repeat my question, which countries acquired trade and political rights due to China's weakness? Next question, which countries established their colonies in Saudi Arabian countries? Which countries established their colonies in Saudi Arabian countries? Next question, name the countries which are rich in enormous oil resources. Which countries are rich in enormous oil resources? Next question, name the countries who established their colonies in Cape and Algeria. Name the countries who established their colonies in Cape and Algeria. Next, who seized the province of Congo? The question is, who seized the province of Congo? Next, who established its colonies in Tunisia and Morocco? Who established its colonies in Tunisia and Morocco? Next question, when and where was the conference of the European nations held? The question is, when and where was the conference of the European nations held? What was the result of the conference? The question is, what was the result of the conference? Next question, what led to the First World War? The question is, what led to the First World War? Now with this, students, I end my today's session. In this session, we learned about the introductory part of how there was a competition between the different European nations in their own continent. Then we saw the colonialism in Asia by different European countries, the colonialism in Africa by different European countries, and then in next session we will study about the main reasons of the First World War. Till then, properly you will find out the answers from your textbook, even you will get the answers from the board itself from this video if you listen carefully and submit the homework timely. Till then, thank you and bye bye students. Take care.